Hey guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. My name's Amanda, and today I want to share with you some books that I'm really looking forward to that are coming out in the first quarter of 2023. Okay, so these are my most anticipated releases coming out in January, February, and March of 2023. I'm going to be going in release date order. I have 11 books to share with you today, which is kind of a weird number, I know, but I narrowed it down as much as I could, and it was difficult. There are a lot of really, really good books coming out. These are all going to be adult or YA titles. I will have my middle grade version of this video going up later this week, and so keep your eye out for that. But today I have 11 YA and adult novels to share with you that are coming out, like I said, in the first 3 months of 2023. Let's get into this. So the first book that I want to talk about today is Amy Perry's Assumptions. This is by Laura Starkey. This comes out on January 10th. It is a UK release, but Laura Starkey's first book, Rachel Ryan's Resolutions, is a book that I loved that came out last year, and so I knew I wanted to add this one to my list. This one, I'm not really sure what it's about. It follows Amy Perry, who is someone who does not believe in true love. She just doesn't, she's not a romantic at all, and I think we're just going to follow her as she falls in love eventually. But Laura Starkey is an auto read author for me now because I loved her first book so much, and so this is one that I am so excited to read, that comes out on January 10th. The next book that I want to talk about is Owner of a Lonely Heart. This is by Eva Carter, and this comes out on January 17th. This follows two characters who have a lot going on in their life, and they eventually find each other. One of them just recently got married, and then her spouse ended up dying weeks after she got married, because of a illness that they were not aware of. And then the other person, the guy in the relationship, he is just been contacted by his 10-year-old daughter who needs a place to stay while she undergoes some treatment for a brain tumor. And so he is like really nervous about that because he hasn't been around his child that much, and these two eventually find each other, and it's kind of their relationship through grief and bonding over some just trials in life, I believe, and it ends up being a romance, I'm sure, as well, but it just sounded really heartbreaking and touching, which I'm down for. So like I said, that one comes out on January 17th. Next, I have a book that comes out on January 24th, and this is The Keeper of Stories by Sally Page. This one sounds so good. It is about a cleaner who is just always very perceptive and listening to everybody's stories as she cleans houses. She just is collecting stories from everybody else, and then eventually one of the people that she is cleaning their house asks her story, and she is very reluctant to tell her story, but this person just keeps digging and trying to get her to open up, and it is about her opening up about her own story. And so it just sounds so good, and such a just spin on storytelling and the importance of storytelling, but also how we all have our own stories to tell. And so I thought that this would be a really good one to check out. Okay, on January 31st is a new book by Amy Pople. I have read Amy Pople in the past and really, really enjoyed her. This one is called The Sweet Spot, and it is about three women in Greenwich Village, I believe, who kind of become the caretakers of an infant who doesn't belong to any of them, but through a series of circumstances, all three of them end up taking care of this infant, or are trying to get the baby to her parents. And so that's kind of the very brief synopsis of it. The details on the book give a little bit more information about each of the three women and how they're intertwined, but I don't want to give too much away, so I'm just going to leave it at that. It sounds like it's going to be a good one. Amy Pople is known for her like wit and sarcasm and humor, which is something that I really love in books, and so I am really looking forward to reading some more of her writing. All right, next, coming out on February 7th, this one I think has such a unique premise. It's called The Friendship Breakup by Annie Catherine, and this is on the description, it says it's a mom-com. So like a mom comedy, like a rom-com, but it's a mom-com. And it is about friends, adult friends, mom friends, and how it follows specifically one person whose mom group ends up like ghosting her and she doesn't really know why, and she decides she's going to get to the bottom of it and start like investing in friendships. And it's kind of explores the topic of friendship as adults, and when friendships break up, what does that look like, what does that entail. And I think that that's something that is definitely not talked about enough, and so I'm really looking forward to checking this one out. All right. Next on February 21st is The Librarian of Burned Books. This is by Brianna Labuschagne. I do not know that I said that right. This is a World War II historical fiction that follows three different people. An author, I believe, is one of them. There's also somebody who is like in a kind of a resistance group that is trying to supply the troops overseas with paperback books. And then somebody else, which I don't remember. She's somehow tied into the book industry as well. But it's about these three people throughout World War II who are working to get books into the hands of soldiers and into the hands of people that need them. And so it just sounded like it would be a really good historical fiction book. So that one sounded good. All right, next on March 14th is another rom-com. This is The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. And this is about, it sounds a lot like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, except they make the deal with each other instead of with other people. So it is about these two people who go on a date, like from a dating app, and, or no, it's about these two people who have a one-night stand, and then they end up going on a blind date and it's with each other, and they're like, okay, we are not meant to be together. And so they make a bet on who's going to find love first, and they decide to be each other's wingmen. And obviously they probably end up together, I'm assuming, but it just sounded so funny and very reminiscent of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, which I love that movie. So definitely had to add that one to the list. Another rom-com that sounds hilarious comes out on March 21st, and that's The Only Game in Town by Lacey Walden. This one is about this small town in Georgia where this guy had this fortune, and he decided in his will that they were going to have this big like game, like town games, and whoever wins gets his fortune. And so his nephew comes in from out of town, and he is competing or paired up with this girl who has been in the town for a really long time, and they don't really get along. And so I'm sure you can tell what's going to happen. It sounds hilarious. It reminds me a lot of Cheaper by the Dozen 2, where they have like the camp games and everybody's competing, and there's just a lot of shenanigans going down. And so that one sounded really, really good. All right. On March 21st, also, I'm pretty sure, yeah, also on March 21st is another World War II historical fiction, and that is Beyond That, the Sea. This is by Laura Spence Ash. And this one, when I read the premise of this, I thought that this sounded so good. It is about a couple during World War II in Europe who sends their daughter to America to live with relatives for the duration of the war. And so this girl kind of grows up and has her formative years in Maine, I believe. It's somewhere on the east coast of the US. And then at the end of the war, she's supposed to go back to war-torn Europe, but she doesn't really want to go. She's used to the US and has made friends here. And so it's just kind of about that battle, I believe, within her, on her having to go back to Europe and what that looks like after the war. And that just sounded really interesting to me. So that one went on the list. All right, the like lone YA book on this list is Made of Stars by Jenna Voris. This comes out on March 28th, and this is a Bonnie and Clyde in space book. And so it's a sci-fi book. I really connect with YA sci-fi for some reason, and this just sounds so good. It's, like I said, a Bonnie and Clyde retelling, and I mean, what else do you need to know? It sounds amazing. So yeah, so okay, and then that's gonna be it. Sorry, I thought I had one more, but the date is not right on it. So it doesn't come out till August. So we're going to leave that one off. So this ended up being 10 books instead of 11, which is fine. But those are the 10 books that I am the most excited about that are coming out in the first 3 months of 2023. Have you heard of any of these books? Are you excited about any of these books? All the links to pre-order them will be down below in the description box. If you are interested in them, go check that out. And let me know what you're looking forward to that's coming out in the first 3 months of 2023. And that's going to do it for today. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya.